Erica. Welcome back to Maniacal Reader. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but the Vampire Diaries has seriously been taking over my life. Today I wanted to introduce my TBR Takedown vlog to you guys. I vlogged every day during this readathon, but I put the clips together in one video, so that's what's next. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hey everyone, it's Erica. Welcome back to Maniacal Reader. Today is the first day of TBR Takedown, so this is day 1 of my TBR Takedown vlog. The first book on my list for TBR Takedown is Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz. I started this book a couple of days ago because I didn't want to wait until the start of the readathon. This is the first book in a YA paranormal fantasy series, and it's about this girl named Skylar. A girl in Skylar's school dies, and all of a sudden her life changes from there. Skylar has a crush on a guy named Jack Force, who's the most popular girl in school. Skylar is thrust into this exclusive social circle called the Committee, and on this committee are Blue Bloods, who are an elite group of vampires that run the town and have a lot of power and influence in New York City. I was really looking forward to reading this book for TBR Takedown because this book fits the challenge of one of the oldest books on my TBR shelf. I've had this book on my shelf since like 2011, and I thought I was really going to like it, but unfortunately I only gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was just an okay book for me. I'll have more thoughts on it in my wrap-up at the end of the vlog. I was going to read Masquerade, which is the sequel to Blue Bloods. This was supposed to fit the challenge of continuing a series, but I'm not invested in the story or the characters enough to want to continue the series, so I'm not going to be reading Masquerade. The next book that I've gotten to is The Baller by Vog Wrap-Up. This is a new adult romance standalone, and it fits the challenge of a book in my latest haul. I read most of the books in my September and October book haul, but this book was one of the ones that I didn't read, so this book fits that challenge. I've just started The Baller. I'm about 10% in, so not really much has happened in the story yet, but I like it so far. I hope to read the majority of The Baller today and hopefully get about halfway through it by the end of today. So I'll check back with you guys in a little while to give you guys an update. Hey guys, it's Erica. I'm back. It's about 4:30 p.m. on the 18th, and just as I predicted, I'm about halfway through The Baller on my Kindle. I am enjoying the story somewhat, but it's not a story that I'm deeply invested in. The Baller follows this romance between a girl named Delilah, who is a sports reporter with an NFL football team, and Brody Easton, who's like the #1 star player on the team, who's kind of an asshole because he makes crude jokes. Every line that comes out of his mouth, especially in his conversations with Delilah, is some sexual innuendo or some phrase with a sexual undertone. Brody seems like a nice guy, but I'm kind of put off by how he handles himself. And to be honest, his character is kind of turning me off. I don't really think him and Delilah have like a genuine relationship at this point. It's more of a sexual relationship than anything else. And I don't really believe in it, to be honest. So I'm kind of disappointed by The Baller so far, considering I loved Vog Wrap-Up's Boss Man that I read a few months ago, and to be honest, The Baller pales in comparison to that. I'm definitely going to finish The Baller tomorrow, and I'm hoping that the story takes more of a positive turn or turns in a direction that I would like. After I finish The Baller, I'm hoping to get to Just Listen by Sarah Dessen tomorrow. This is a YA contemporary book. I've wanted to read Sarah Dessen's books for quite a while, and I read The Truth About Forever a couple of years ago, but I've recently wanted to get more into her books. So hopefully when I start this one tomorrow, I like it. Those are all of my updates for day 1 of TBR Takedown. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Happy reading! Hey everyone, it's Erica. Today is my update for day 2 of TBR Takedown. I successfully finished The Baller by Vog Wrap-Up this morning, and I didn't really like the book very much. I would rate the book 2 out of 5 stars. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was planning on moving on to Just Listen by Sarah Dessen today, but I sort of have a headache, so I'm probably not going to read much for the rest of the day. But I'm definitely planning on starting this book tomorrow. I don't really have any idea of what this book is about, but I wanted to go into it blind. Apparently she's the queen of contemporary. You probably won't hear from me for the rest of the day, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Happy reading! Hey everyone, it's Erica. This is my day 3 update for TBR Takedown. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon and I've been reading for nearly all day. I made good progress on Just Listen by Sarah Dessen and I have about 100 pages left, which I'm planning on finishing up tomorrow morning. I really like this book. This book follows a girl named Annabelle Green, who is the middle child in a family of 5. She has 2 older sisters. At school, she's always been the popular girl, the person who has a lot of friends and goes to a lot of parties. But something happened with her best friend named Sophie last spring that's made school different for her since this falling out with her best friend. She finds herself falling for a guy named Owen in school, whom she never talked to before. The book is just about Annabelle discovering who she is as a person and her relationship with Owen, and also different family dynamics that are happening around her, since she is dealing with some family stuff as well. The romance is cute, and I really like the fact that Sarah Dessen adds a serious touch to her books. This is only the 2nd book that I've read from her, and I like it so far. It's a really good book. As I said before, I'm probably going to be finishing up this book tomorrow morning. From here, I don't really know what to read. I suppose I'll probably just go by my mood, but I haven't really been in a big reading mood lately. That's probably because I recently started watching The Vampire Diaries, and I'm obsessed with the show. I'm near the end of season 3 already, and I absolutely love it. It's such a good show. The writing is fantastic, and I love the relationship dynamics in the show as well. Beyond Just Listen by Sarah Dessen, I don't know if I'll get any more reading done tomorrow since I'm planning on going to the gym. But a couple books that I am thinking about continuing on reading are What's Left of Me by Kat Zhang. This is the first book in a YA sci-fi trilogy, and it's about these 2 girls named Eva and Addie, and they're 2 souls in one body, and there's some sort of sci-fi twist to that. I'm not really sure what this book is about other than that, but the premise of this book sounds interesting. I've never heard about 2 souls trapped in one body, so that sounds intriguing to me. Another book that I might get to is The Perfect Play by J.C. Burton. This is the first book in a contemporary romance series. I'm reading this first book with a girl that I met on Goodreads. She happens to love J.C. Burton, so we're starting this series together. This book follows a guy named Mick Wolf, who's a professional football player. He has the reputation of being a playboy, and he has a new girl in every city. But when he comes across a girl named Tara Lincoln, everything changes. Tara Lincoln is a single mom to a teenage son, and she's done love once before, but she's been hurt. And she's confident that Mick Riley is not the guy for her, but he's determined to prove her wrong. The premise of this book sounds interesting, and I'm sure the relationship will be intriguing. I'm looking forward to getting to this book. I know I recently finished reading The Baller by Vi Keeland, but I'm going into this book with an open mind. Not all football romances are the same. Again, I might not get to these books during TBR Takedown. I might take a few days break and just watch The Vampire Diaries. Who knows? I'll see you guys with an update tomorrow. Hey everyone, it's Erica. Here's my update for day 4 of TBR Takedown. I finished reading Just Listen by Sarah Dessen earlier this morning, and I really liked it. I would give this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I really enjoyed the ending of this book and how everything wrapped up, but I felt like the ending to the book was a little dragged out too much. I loved the character growth of Annabelle, the main character in this book. She's someone who's shy and quiet and who doesn't like to tell people all the truth about things because she's afraid that they won't be there to listen, or that they may react badly to the things that she has to tell them. She's more of a timid and shy character at the beginning of this book. Throughout the story, she finds her voice, and she learns that it's okay to tell people how she feels and not worry so much about how they'll react. This was a very, very good book. It touched on some serious topics, but the romance was also really sweet. I also liked finding out about what happened between Annabelle and her friend Sophie in this book, and what happened for their friendship to fall apart ties into the main character's story. But I really liked how that secret was revealed and how it was built up throughout the book. Now today is November 21st. I'm not planning on reading anything else for TBR Takedown. I feel that I should take a little reading break for a while since I've already read so much this month already. But as I said yesterday, I told you the books that I might be getting to soon, so those haven't changed since yesterday. Those are all of my updates for today. I hope you guys are enjoying the readathon, and I'll see you back here for my wrap-up, which should be in the next clip. Hey guys, it's Erica. This is my TBR Takedown wrap-up. Now, I officially read only 2 books in the time that was TBR Takedown from November 18th to the 22nd, but I technically finished 3 books for the readathon. So let's get into my thoughts on them. The first book I read for this readathon was Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz. This is the first book in a YA paranormal fantasy series, and I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. I actually started this book a couple of days before her TBR Takedown started because I didn't want to wait, and I ended up finishing this book on the first day of TBR Takedown, which was November 18th. I only gave this book 3 stars because this book was just middle of the road for me, and I wasn't really invested in the characters or story enough to want to continue the series. So I didn't. As I said in my vlog, this book follows a girl named Skylar who goes to a New York City prep school, but she doesn't really fit in with the rest of her elitist classmates. She also has a crush on Jack Force. Jack has taken a sudden interest in her. Strange things start happening in her school, first being a classmate of her dying. And it's ruled that the death of a classmate was a drug overdose, but Skylar is suspicious that it's something else. Skylar is thrust into an exclusive social group at her school that call themselves Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods are actually an elite group of vampires that have a lot of power and influence in New York City, and they're the people who run the city. Skylar herself learns that she's a Blue Blood because she has blue blood running through her veins. She keeps on having these strange dreams. A certain classmate of hers has a lot of hunger. So this classmate of hers, who's more like an acquaintance, also discovers that she's a vampire. The thing is, someone's attacking Blue Bloods, and Skylar is wanting to get to the bottom of it. The world in this book was interesting. It did give me a Vampire Diaries feel in that these elite group of vampires basically control the town, and there's a lot of history in New York City surrounding these vampires and these founding families, but I wasn't really getting attached to anything. The plot wasn't really action-packed. In fact, it was just slow and things were slowly revealed. I did find Skylar's family history interesting. She doesn't really know much about her dad, and her mom is stuck in a coma, so her grandmother is left to raise her. I like the fact that Skylar discovered more about her family and why her mother is actually stuck in a coma. It has to do with magic and vampires, so learning all about that was interesting. But this book was just middle of the road for me. I didn't really like it that much. The next book I read was The Baller by Vi Keeland. This is a standalone contemporary romance, and it follows these characters named Delilah and Brody Easton. Delilah is a sports reporter that reports and interviews athletes on this NFL team, and Brody Easton is the star quarterback of the team and one of the most popular players. I ended up giving this book 2 out of 5 stars. I was turned off by this book a lot. I was mostly turned off by Brody Easton's character because he didn't really have much substance to him, in my opinion. He comes off as an obnoxious douchebag at the beginning of the book, and he's really cocky and full of himself, so I was kind of turned off by that. But what made him even worse is that a lot of his dialogue contained sexual innuendos and an underlying sexual undertone, which completely turned me off of his character. Aside from that, Brody is taking care of his girlfriend's grandmother, who's in an old folks home with Alzheimer's, and this is supposed to paint his character in a positive, kind light. The fact that he did this didn't really redeem his character for me, and didn't necessarily make up for all his sexual dialogue. I didn't like that. The grandmother that he's taking care of is his girlfriend's grandmother named Willow, but he hasn't seen her in years. She and Brody haven't really had any semblance of a relationship because Willow is a drug addict and she hasn't communicated with Brody or seen him in years. Brody and Delilah start a relationship that's mainly sexual and not really one of any substance. I didn't see the plot twist coming in this book. Willow does come back into Brody's life. He doesn't really spend a lot of time with Delilah while she's in his life, given what's happening. I didn't really like her in this book, and it surprised me that she actually did get a third POV. I wasn't expecting her POV in the book at all. Her POV was just kind of thrown in the book out of the blue. The conclusion to this book was actually nice, and it's a part of the book that I actually did really like. But unfortunately, the positive ending to this book didn't really make up for the book being so crappy. I was looking forward to reading this book since I really enjoyed Vi Keelan's Boss Man, which I read earlier this year, and that was a great book. Unfortunately, this book just fell flat for me and completely rolled downhill in comparison to the other one. The last book I read for TBR Takedown was Just Listen by Sarah Dessen. I ended up borrowing this book from the library and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This book follows a girl named Annabelle Green. Annabelle Green used to be popular in school, with a lot of friends. She was the girl who had everything. But she recently had a falling out with her best friend last spring, and since then, school has become very different for her. She no longer has friends, and she's kind of socially isolated. Annabelle is also dealing with family issues. She has 2 older sisters, Whitney and Kirsten. Kirsten is away at college for most of the book, but she does make appearances every now and then. Whitney, the middle child in the family, has an eating disorder, and this creates strain on the family. Also, Annabelle starts a budding romance with a guy named Owen in school. Owen is someone that she knows of, but she's never talked to before. Initially, she finds him weird, but she ends up liking him, and they don't necessarily have a romance, but they have a budding relationship. So, a relationship that's just starting to get off the ground. Annabelle also feels that she can't be open with her family about how she feels and certain things that are going on in her family, so she's mostly just quiet and not really honest about how she feels. Not that she's a liar by any means, but she hides the truth from her family a lot about how she feels. Annabelle's sisters have been modeling since they were young, and Annabelle fell into that as well. But Annabelle has lost interest in modeling, and she's not really sure if she should be open to her mother about that, since modeling is the thing that kind of gave her mom purpose. Her mom lost a family member a few years ago, and modeling seems to be the only thing that gives her purpose in life and gives her a feeling of excitement, and Annabelle doesn't want to be honest with her that she's not interested in modeling anymore because she doesn't want her mother to feel sad or go back into who she was when her family member died years ago. So because of that, Annabelle has reservations to tell her mom how she really feels. Through her relationship with Owen, she learns to find her voice though, and she learns that it's okay to be honest with those you love, even though that honesty may be not what they're looking for. This book basically just covers Annabelle's personal journey in strengthening relationships with her family and discovering who she is more as a person. I do have to say, I did like the secondary plot that was happening in this book. We do eventually find out what happened to cause the falling out between Annabelle and her best friend, and the secrets about what happened between her and her best friend are slowly revealed throughout the book as well. I suspected what might have caused the falling out between Annabelle and her best friend, so I kind of saw that coming. But what I was surprised by was everyone's personal reactions to what happened to her. I won't give anything away, but I found that serious touch to the book very powerful and meaningful. This is the second Sarah Dessen book that I read, and I really liked it. I'm definitely checking out more from her in the future. So those are all of the books that I read for TBR Takedown. I hope you guys really enjoyed the readathon. I know I did. I didn't end up reading on the last day of TBR Takedown, which was November 22nd, because I felt that I needed to take a break, and I was just really focused on the Vampire Diaries, so I never ended up reading much the last day. But I am happy with what I read anyway. 2 books during the readathon is good, but I'm glad I read that third one before the readathon started, so that's a total of 3 books. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.